Later, after the weather, he's the patriarch of the NFL, if you will, Archie Manning we're talking about here. He's gone from all-pro quarterback to all-pro father. And Al Quartermont will talk with him about his sons, the Saints, and how you can win a trip to the Super Bowl. You're watching News Channel 5's Midday. Stay with us. The name Manning has great meaning for the state of Louisiana. Archie Manning played 13 years in the NFL, most of his time with the New Orleans Saints. He later made his home there and raised 3 boys, 2 of whom are now stars in the NFL. Of course, Peyton, a Super Bowl champion with the Colts, and Eli with the New York Giants. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a little behind-the-scenes action. Sharif Ishak and Al Quartermont duked it out to get this interview, but it was Al who won. Here he is with the interview.
Archie, between your obvious loyalties for the Saints, the Colts, and the Giants, do you ever get confused about who to root for?
Well, either the Saints or the Giants or the Colts, Al. You know, one of those three. We had a great experience a couple of years ago when the Colts won the Super Bowl here in Miami. So hopefully somebody's back and it doesn't rain this time.
For you, it's such a great situation, though. When it comes to a typical football Sunday, you've got 3 to root for. Do you ever feel like you have split loyalties?
It's kind of hard. You know, I very seldom get to see the Saints play simply because I'm either going to a Colts game, going to a Giants game, or if I stay home, I'm watching those games on TV. Sometimes they're playing at the same time. I have to split the screen. So usually the only time I get to see the Saints is when they play a Monday night game.
Let's talk a little bit about the Colts. Tony Dungy's gone, new coach for your Peyton. So what ways do you think that might affect him as a quarterback?
I don't think as big as, say, the other 8 or 9 teams around the league, Al, that change head coaches, simply because Jim Caldwell has been there with Tony. He came there with Tony. He's been the quarterback coach for 7 years. So they've still got most of their coaching staff intact. Always a few personnel changes, but not a lot of changes. So I think the biggest deal there is the pressure it puts on Jim Caldwell, because Tony Dungy's won at least 12 games 6 years in a row. That's a pretty good record.
It is. Well, you know, the NFL does see so much personnel change every year. Marvin Harrison's also gone from the Colts. Plaxico's gone from the Giants. What kind of impact does that have on a quarterback?
Well, certainly it affects him. Marvin Harrison is a Hall of Famer. He and Peyton have been able to do some great things through the years. So it goes without saying, Peyton's definitely going to miss Marvin Harrison. That's a big situation there, is who's going to come forward and take his place. Anthony Gonzalez is, of course, in line. I think Reggie Wayne, good Louisiana boy, I think he'll catch more passes than he has in the past, and also Dallas Clark. Moving over to the Giants, obviously Eli's going to miss Plaxico Burress. He's just a great target, been a big part of their success over the last few years. And I think early in the season, they're still trying to find out who's going to be their players out there. They kept 7 receivers, and they're real young. Fortunately, they have a good running game and hopefully a good defense, but they're still trying to find their people and who's going to be the go-to guys on the Giants' offense.
The good thing is the Giants and Colts both look like they'll be very good teams this year. So I suppose your dream matchup, would it be Peyton and Eli in the Super Bowl?
Well, you know, I don't want to sound greedy, but I'd love to see them both get the opportunity to go back and try it again.
Archie, in college football, what a story. Your Ole Miss Rebels are now ranked number 5 in the country.
Well, it really is exciting. You know, I saw that Ole Miss hadn't been ranked that high since 1970. That was my senior year at Ole Miss, and that's, believe me, that's been a long, long time ago. So it's great for the program. I think it puts pressure on Houston Nutt and their players. They really went up to Memphis Sunday afternoon and didn't play particularly well. Scored some touchdowns late in the game. That's probably good for them. You know, I'm not, you know, I think one of the problems when your kids aren't used to being ranked high and you kind of get caught up. So they're still, one thing you got to remember, they're still playing in the tough SEC. And it's always tough, especially when they go on the road in the next few weeks to South Carolina and to Vanderbilt.
And not just the conference, but the West itself. Alabama 4, Ole Miss 5, LSU 9. So 3 teams in the top 10.
Well, I think the power shifted just a little bit. In the West, I know that Florida's still ranked number 1, and they're a great team. But I think the West, with Ole Miss coming up, you know, LSU, I think Alabama's real good. I know LSU didn't play well out at Washington, but they got a lot of talent. I think they're going to be a really good football team. Auburn kind of, I think, surprised people a little bit. So I think the West has balanced things up a little bit. We'll see how it's tough in the SEC. It's the top conference in the country. We know that.
Definitely. Archie, if we can turn to the Saints for a moment. Sean Payton had a great year when he came in '06. Not so great the last 2 years because injuries have really hurt. Is this in any way a make or break year
I don't
for
think
him?
it's a make or break. I think Sean's an outstanding coach, but I think there's reason for people to be very optimistic and looking forward to this season. Their offense is back intact. Sean's a great offensive coach. They've got the right quarterback, good talent around him. They've made great efforts to improve their defense. Now, we'll see if that's happened. I think they're better in the secondary. I think the key, you got to get a pass rush. If they can do that, the Saints can play with anyone. They're an exciting team. I think they're going to have a really good year.
And on that note, Saints fans might want to bring their cameras to the game with them because they could take a picture that would send them to Miami in February.
Well, for the 4th year in a row, I've been involved with Canon in their Why Do You Love Football Photo Challenge. It's a contest that's open now through December 2nd, and people are just encouraged to send in their favorite football photos. There's an action and a feature category, there's a teen, there's adult. And last year out, there were 10,000 entries, maybe because the prizes are good. 4 tickets to the Super Bowl, that'll be here in Miami, Super Bowl 44, 4 tickets to the Hall of Fame where your photo will be displayed. And also Canon's donating $150,000 of products to the NFL's youth education towns. So I'm one of the judges. It's really hard to pick from 10,000. We get it down to 14, and then the fans pick the finalists. So usa.canon.com/NFL.
And I know the picture-perfect event would be either Eli or Peyton or even Drew Brees holding up the Lombardi Trophy after the Super Bowl 44.
There's a chance.
Archie, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.